Okay, this is our second lesson on this essay, and it is about how to take your brainstorming sheet and turn them into a paragraph. And this checklist will help you do that if you follow the steps in your checklist, okay? So you'll notice it says start with step 3, and then we're going to create a topic sentence for one paragraph, okay? So the first part, steps 1 and 2, we're kind of just help you overall know where you're going with the essay, but now I want to really focus in on just one of the 2 myths that you chose, and that means starting with step 3. Okay, now when you write your topic sentence, you want to state the title of the myth, the god or goddess that you're writing about, the character that they affected, and whether the actions were fair. So all the things that were in the writing prompt. And you can see here in the myth blank, the god or goddess blank treated blank unfairly or fairly, right, depending. Now, you can do these in any order. So you could say, the character. So right now this is 1. Hold on. Try that again. Okay, so for right now, this is 1, the title of the myth, the god or goddess, and the character, and then whether it was fair or unfair, right? You could do, let's say, the character first. So you could say Hercules was treated unfairly in the labor of Hercules by the goddess Hera. So you can mix and match the order of these things, right? There's really 4 things here you need to include, and you can put them in any order, and I strongly recommend you do it in different order between the first body paragraph and the second body paragraph. So you don't want to do them exactly the same. So if we look at the brainstorming sheet, I kind of filled an example one in here for you. So I picked Dionysus, 2 myths, and then Orpheus, the great musician, and Orpheus, King Midas and the Golden Touch, and Midas. He affected both those characters. And was he fair or unfair? I said no. You could certainly say yes. There's arguments to be made on both sides. And so down here under step 3, analyzing the first myth, now we're just focusing on Orpheus, the great musician, and how he treated Orpheus, and I said unfairly. Okay, so everything that highlighted here in this first kind of box before A is your topic sentence, right? So in my paragraph, that's what I included. In Orpheus, the great musician, the god Dionysus treated Orpheus unfairly. So I have 1, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 things there in my topic sentence. Okay, and again, you can put them in any order, but you do need all 4 of those things in your topic sentence. Okay, so then I have my topic sentence, step 1 done. Now I have to go to step 2, which is to add a transition word. I give you some options here. They're not the only ones. And then I'm providing context of the action of the god or goddess that affected the character, right? And so I give you an example here. When Hera went in search of Zeus, she met and was detained by Echo. She realized Echo was deliberately preventing her from catching Zeus. Hera grew angry with Echo, and she punished Echo, right, by cursing her voice. In my example, brainstorming sheet, the action that Dionysus did that affected Orpheus was that he caused the women of Thrace to go crazy and attack Orpheus. And then I was supposed to come up with a quote, highlight that quote and number it 1 that supported this, okay? So again, what that is depends on, what you're writing about, but it's the action by the god or goddess that affected the other character that you think is fair or unfair. So that was the action by Dionysus, so now I'm going to put that in my paragraph. It started when? Here's my transition. Dionysus caused the women of Thrace to go insane and attack Orpheus. I upgraded my vocabulary a little bit. In my brainstorming sheet, it's bulleted information, not necessarily complete sentences, and simple everyday language. You want to upgrade that language a little bit in your essay. So instead of go crazy, I said go insane, right? Attack Orpheus. And then my quote, right? I had a highlighted quote. So I would include the anchor, the author wrote. I would include my quote, and I would cite my quote. So now I have done steps 2, my transition word. Step 3, I provided my context. And step 4, I provided my quote. Okay, so 1, 2, 2, 3, and 4 were all there. So, and of course, I just wrote include quote and citation. If you want to see how that's done, There are examples here for spacing purposes, where the spaces go, where they don't go, and last name and page number. Now I'm down to step 5. I'm going to add another transition word. The slightly different options here: after, following, as a result, and then the context of how the character was affected or reacted because of the god's actions, right? And then again, I needed a quote. So I have a transition word, I have context in my own word explaining what happened, and then the quote that supported it. So if I go back to my brainstorming sheet, that's this next step, right? Describe how the affected character responded. Well, Orpheus died, right? That's what happened. He died, and he ended up going to the underworld, and I would need a quote to support that. So now I'm going to put this in my essay with my transition: as a result of, and then I was specific, their crazed assault. And again, I upgraded vocabulary a little bit there. Comma, Orpheus died and went to the underworld. And that's what I had in my brainstorming chart. And then, of course, I would have the quote with the citation there. So now I've done steps 5, 6, and 7. Go back to my checklist. Step 8 is another transition. This is more of an in conclusion, as a result and response. And then what was the effect, long-term effect on the character that resulted from the god's actions, and the quote to support that. So again, transition word, context, quote. So I go back to my brainstorming sheet, and I get context: Orpheus had to remain in the underworld for eternity, and my quote, so I just have to add the transition. So I said, sadly, as my transition: sadly, Orpheus remained in the underworld for eternity. There's the context in my word, and then I would include the quote with the citation that supported that. So now we get to B, right? Part B. And if we look, this is step 11 now on my checklist. This is 4B on my brainstorming sheet: why the actions were fair or unfair. Really important to make sure you include this bit. I did provide an example here about Aphrodite and Narcissus. Although it's understandable Aphrodite would be angry with Narcissus, her actions didn't allow for him to learn from his mistake or become a better person, so therefore it was unfair. I went with something a little bit similar here with Orpheus. So why was it unfair? Because with time, Orpheus might have gotten over Eurydice's death. Maybe he would have met someone else and married and had kids, and Dionysus kind of robbed him of that. So that's what I conclude my paragraph with. This action by Dionysus was unfair to Orpheus because it was possible that with time, Orpheus might have recovered from his grief over Eurydice's death. So notice again, I've upgraded my vocabulary a bit here as I wrote it into my paragraph. He might have married and had children, not kids, which Dionysus stole from him. Okay, and that's how I conclude my paragraph. Then, so this is one day, right? So we're going to do this tomorrow in class. You're going to focus on one paragraph, one myth. You'll notice the checklist continues with the next paragraph. So you're going to use the same checklist the next day in class, and you're going to repeat this entire process for the second myth. There's nothing different about it. You're going to start with step 5 in your brainstorming chart. You're going to write your topic sentence for the second myth. You're going to follow through with your transition word, your action, the quote, a transition word, how the character was affected, and quote, transition word, and the long-term implications and long-term results with a quote, and then why it was fair or unfair. So the paragraph is set up exactly the same. It's just with the second myth. Okay? So if you have any questions, by all means ask me. It's what I'm here for.